welcome to Season 2, Episode number 28 of Pro Wrestling's Top 50. I'm your host, Travis McNeil, and today we are finally back after a week plus of some computer issues that unfortunately put me out of commission with being able to shoot and edit these videos. We are back, and I'm very happy as we continue our countdown of the top 50 matches in Impact Wrestling history with match number 23 on our list, which is the double elimination match to determine the first ever NWA-TNA X champion between Jerry Lynn, AJ Styles, Psicosis, and Low Ki from the June 26, 2002 edition of NWA-TNA. Now this, I think, for a lot of people is the match that, kind of put TNA on the map, per se. It was the match that I first heard about in a Pro Wrestling Illustrated magazine that led me to the promotion. And when TNA started, basically what they did, something that was very smart. So when WCW folded, especially in those later WCW years, kind of one of the only reasons to continue to watch it was for the Cruiserweight division. When WWF purchased WCW, I think a lot of us hoped that we'd see that great Cruiserweight action that we were missing from WCW kind of migrate over to the WWF. That didn't really happen. When Rey Mysterio started in the summer of 2002, maybe a little bit at that point, but up until that, it was a sore spot for a lot of us. So TNA was very smart. When they started, they opened their first show with an X Division 6-man tag with three of the competitors in this match, Lynn, Styles, and Ki, along with a trio called the Flying Elvises of Sonny Siaki, Jimmy Yang from WCW, and Jorge Estrada. So TNA basically promised and said, okay, you love the Cruiserweight division, you've been missing the Cruiserweight division, we've got the X Division for you. It's the same thing, only even better because it's not about weight limits. It's about no limits. So they main evented the second show here, and just the eclectic mix that they had here of the wrestlers was really, really great and really smart. So they took, this hodgepodge of different kind of eras and promotions, and they put them together for this match. So if you were a fan that was missing ECW, guess what? We've got Jerry Lynn. If you were a fan that was missing WCW, how about Psicosis? If you're a fan of the Independents that's now checking out TNA, they have the biggest star on the Independents, the current Ring of Honor champion at this point, Low Ki. And very smartly, they are creating their own stars. So AJ Styles, yes, he had a little bit of buzz on him. Prior to this, he'd participated in the 2002 Super 8 and ECWA. He had a pretty famous match with Christopher Daniels at the NWA 53rd anniversary show back in 2001. But when this match started, he was kind of still a bit of an unknown, and he really truly was a homegrown TNA talent. So they thankfully put him in here, so you had this great collective mix. This match is not a four-way. It was a double elimination match. It was something kind of very cool that we really haven't seen much since TNA. I think they did it one more time to, not as nearly a great result as this one. But basically the deal here is it's a series of singles matches. Once a competitor is pinned or submitted, they must exit the ring. The next wrestler in the batting order comes in. We get another one-on-one match. As soon as somebody has suffered two falls, they go to the back, and at the end, whoever's the last competitor standing that has not suffered those two defeats will become the first champion. They do a really good kind of feel to this. They have, various referees around the outside that kind of switch in and out for each fall, give it a really interesting feel. So this match started out with AJ and Psicosis. The first couple of falls of this, double elimination match were really quick and short, but they just kind of added to the overall story that this match was trying to tell. So very early on, Psicosis hits the guillotine leg drop, which was his finish. Forced AJ to kick out. AJ manages to get a Flash Styles clash, countering a Psicosis Hurricane Rana to put him down for 3. That brought in Low Ki. So AJ Styles, already a little bit rocked, he had to kick out of the guillotine leg drop. Low Ki proceeds to do what Low Ki does, and he kicks the tar out of AJ Styles. AJ manages to get a flash counter and hits a German suplex into a facebuster to put Ki down to give him his first elimination as well. But at this point, it allows Jerry Lynn, the crafty veteran, to immediately come in, jump AJ when he's unprepared, drop him on his head with a cradle pile driver to give him his first elimination. So now we have Jerry Lynn, who's completely fresh, and all of these other competitors that are on the ropes, having suffered a defeat each. Psicosis comes back in, gets a little bit more time here than he did in the AJ match, gets a big toe pick on Hilo, but at the end of the day, again, makes a critical mistake, goes for a crossbody off the top, gets met with a drop kick, dropped on his head with a cradle pile driver to eliminate him. Low Ki and Jerry Lynn, they get a bit more of an extended sequence at this point. But Jerry Lynn manages to get a tornado DDT to counter out of the crush rush into the corner. And again, cradle pile driver, all she wrote, eliminates Low Ki. Styles comes back in, and what I really liked here is they could have done another quick fall and led it to just this, extended one-on-one match. But what they did instead is they let Jerry and AJ kind of have a normal singles match with the great story of AJ being on the ropes, Lynn still being, somewhat fresh. AJ suffered the guillotine leg drop. He got the tar kicked out of him from Low Ki. He got dropped on his head with the cradle pile driver. So he really was fighting from behind. He ends up, though, hitting the Styles Clash to even both of them up at one fall apiece and take us into our final leg of this match. And this is where things get really great. So Ricky Steamboat comes in to referee the last fall. He was making the rounds on the independents at this point as a referee. He refereed a very famous match between Low Ki and Bryan Danielson in ECWA. He made a bunch of Ring of Honor appearances, in the year or two following this. So again, Ricky Steamboat was kind of that original, smaller, undersized guy that a lot of these light heavyweights and cruiserweights and junior heavyweights, pattern themselves after. So it was really cool to have him in there as the ref. They just do a fantastic job here. We get big moves galore. We get great extended sequences. We get great reversals. These guys are so good. Lynn and AJ had amazing, amazing chemistry. Jerry Lynn is someone, at this point, 2002, he'd been doing this a long, long time. Although he really didn't kind of start to get his due in ECW until late 97 into 98, and especially into 99 with the feud with Rob Van Dam, he was a veteran from the late 80s, early 90s in the Global Wrestling Federation. So he had, at this point, his career was kind of starting to wrap up, even though he would still go, basically another decade after this match happened, which is a hell of a testament to Jerry Lynn. At this point, he was kind of starting to slow down that schedule a little bit. But him and AJ had great chemistry together, and these matches helped make AJ Styles in his very early formidable years. So they just do great sequences. There's just fantastic spots galore. Jerry Lynn does this just insane move that you really don't see anymore, where AJ goes for a Rana and Lynn counters it by basically just flipping him backward from a powerbomb position into an X Factor. It was gnarly. They do just a great sequence as well, where AJ hits his moonsault reverse DDT off the apron on the floor, goes back for it in the ring, and Lynn just takes a step back, counters it into basically a reverse suplex that drops AJ gut first over the top rope, and then he hits a hangman's DDT, plants AJ on his head. It was great. This match eventually leads into frustration, though, where Lynn, who had basically dominated this entire match and had been very smart using, those veteran tactics, he can't seem to put AJ away. No matter what he does, it's the tornado DDT, it's all of these big moves. So what he does is he goes to his ECW roots a little bit, and he takes the match to the floor, and he starts, punching and brawling a little bit. It's not enough. And then in something that I really, really liked, that, I think that maybe it would have went over a lot of people's heads, but if you have the experience that I do, and you've seen those early Jerry Lynn matches, he slaps on a sleeper hold. And I loved it so much because, for a lot of fans, you might look at it as like, oh, okay, sleeper hold's rest spot. But the sleeper hold was Jerry Lynn's original finish in the Global Wrestling Federation. If you've never seen it, check out his feud with Sean Waltman, the Lightning Kid. They do a very famous hold for hold match where the Lightning Kid did the tombstone and Jerry Lynn did the sleeper hold, and you had to win with your own finish. It was a fantastic match, one of my favorites. So Lynn goes for the sleeper hold, and I just thought it was so good. It was this great callback of this veteran's done everything that he could possibly do. He can't put this youngster away, so he goes back into his old school playbook. Sleeper hold unfortunately doesn't work. Jerry hits a superplex, gets another two, just gets incredibly frustrated once again, puts AJ back on the top, goes for another superplex. AJ throws him off and hits the spiral tap for an absolutely incredible finish. The spiral tap This was, kind of the first time you really hit this move on the big stage. In my opinion, it is the best AJ Styles has ever hit that move in his entire career. It's basically just like a corkscrew. Normally he hits it with like a back senton, but here he almost did it with like a leg drop. It was amazing. They had this move in AJ's video package for years when he would make his entrance because it looked so good. So he hits the spiral tap, the crowd goes ballistic. It's enough to put Jerry Lynn away, and AJ Styles, the star, the homegrown TNA star, becomes the face of the promotion on the second episode ever by winning an absolutely fantastic, buzzworthy match. I wasn't sure how this match was going to hold up, but it really, really does. Like I said, the first little bit of the one-on-one contests are short, but it just kind of adds into AJ Styles having to fight back against Lynn at the end, and Lynn, like I said, using kind of those crafty veteran moves throughout, and it gives a very satisfying finish at the end. This match is awesome. There's a lot of really good, kind of forgotten about early 2000s indie moves. I love it unconditionally. This is the match that hooked me on TNA. I read about this match in PWI. I finally got the internet in the summer of 2002. I downloaded this match on Kazaa, and it made me a TNA fan, and I was so happy that it holds up in 2021, and it found its way onto this list. You can watch this match, of course, on Impact Plus. You can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Wrestling50. And I can happily say, with my computer issues fixed, please join me again tomorrow as we continue to count down Pro Wrestling's Top 50. Top 50.